Lauren Tupper has done it all and continues to do it all. She is an artist, she's an entrepreneur, and now she has her own seasoning brand. I talk one-on-one with Lauren for this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups. And if you haven't already, subscribe to my YouTube channel and like Quintin's Close-Ups on Facebook. Lauren Tupper, welcome to the award-winning Quintin's Close-Ups.
Thank you. We're glad to be here.
Oh, I appreciate it greatly. I know that you're an artist, you are a crafter, you're an entrepreneur and a mom. How would you craft your life right now using art?
Well, using art, that is a new thing for me. So all this started about 6 months ago, and I was in the car business. I was a sales manager and thought that was going to be my path for my life, and I would always do that. And COVID had other plans, so I got sick, and they went a different direction. I went a different direction, and started. I mean, I think I was stressed. It was Christmas time, so I started making things out of oysters, and I was doing like the oyster Christmas trees, and made enough to get us through Christmas, and then created the business, just thinking I might do that like on the side. And I'd go back into the car business. But honestly, I started painting. I painted an oyster first. I didn't know I didn't know I could do that. So I painted an oyster, and I feel like, yeah, maybe anybody could paint an oyster. I don't know. I felt like it was good, But my daughter was like, "Oh, can you paint an octopus?" And I was like, I could try, So it actually turned out really good, and so I started trying new things, and then I got contracted to paint for some condos downtown Charleston. So I started selling the art, and I had more time to fish because I didn't have like a full-time job. And I started making this blackening rub, which now is like taking off a little quicker than I anticipated. So I have it's a blackening rub for fish and shrimp that now has been picked up in 33 stores in the last 2 months.
Wow, I see it right next to you, actually.
I brought you a bag.
Oh, my stuff all along. Good.
Yeah, this is your bag. So it's a Coastal Bad Blackening Bark is what it's called.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Let me ask you, when did art actually create a shift in your mind?
Oh, Lord. I think I've always been artistic, I guess, and creative, but I was more musically talented, I guess. I used to play gigs when I was younger and play in the bar scene a little bit, and I would sing, and my brother and my grandmother were artists, and I always left that to them. I thought that was what they did. I would look at Disney coloring books when I was a kid, and I would look at something and I could draw it, but I never thought I was an artist. I wouldn't consider myself an artist, I guess.
Wow.
Now I guess I have to a little bit if I sell it.
Right. Yes.
I guess I have to, but yeah. So honestly, it was just something that I wanted to paint for my house. I had a new house, and I wanted to put something on the wall, and I had time because I had slowed down. And I think when life is just moving, sometimes you don't slow down and try new things. Then I think that was the first time really working with paint, and I realized with acrylics that I actually did pretty decent, and I enjoyed it. So that's where we're at now.
We're at right now. And I'm going to get back to that as well as the seasoning in just a second, but how does art actually move you these days?
God, it's funny because now I look at it a little different. I'll look, I just went to Beaufort 2 weekends ago, and was going in and out of the galleries. I don't think I've ever been one to just really go in galleries and really. I appreciated art, but I think it's just different because you're like, oh, how did they do that? And it's just a different. I look at it differently. There are some I just walked up on. I'm like, I'm probably stopping there on my way out.
Right along Broad Street.
Right along Broad Street. So it's just you kind of see different styles, and you just look at it a little different when you're doing things and learning and growing as an artist and trying new things. So
what is your style?
Gosh, I would say it's like a coastal, maybe impressionistic type. It's not absolute realism. Definitely not that skill level yet, but I would say it's definitely a little more abstract impressionism. But I like to paint coastal things. I grew up on the water, and I think that it was a big part of my life, and I find joy in those things. So the blue crabs and shrimp and redfish, and I've been fishing a lot more. So definitely it's influencing what I'm painting and what moves me. I did have some people ask me to paint their dogs, and I found that was not what moved me. So love dogs, but it just didn't do it for me.
I understand. And I don't know if you know this, but many artists really believe painting is a portal with the ability to transport people to a different mindset, triggering a set of emotions, whether bringing the observer to a peaceful place or encouraging their minds to venture into new ideas. Let me ask you, how is painting your portal?
Well, I mean, I think it definitely, it's pushing me right this second. It's getting me out of my comfort zone. Every time I paint something now, it's the first time I'm painting that. Wow. So it's, it's funny because while I'm doing it, it's not as relaxing as you would think. I'm literally stressing. Like if someone asks me to paint something, I'm like, oh, I'm probably gonna have to scrap this. The whole time I'm thinking that. Like, I'm probably gonna have to give the money back. This is not gonna work out. And then somehow in the last hour, it comes together and and it works out. So it's kind of a little stressful, but it's definitely pushing me out of my comfort zone. And I think that it's all about trying new things and trying to figure out what works and what doesn't. So and I can relate to that, where art it does take you a different place and moves you. And I feel like there was this one piece that I did for a room called Indigo downtown, and I'm very much I like a history, and so Eliza Lucas Pinckney was like a big part of horticulture here in Charleston. And when I had to paint something for the room Indigo, I couldn't get this image out of my mind, I was thinking about just the crops and what in that coming into fruition and turning into clothing, because we basically supplied all the blue dye, indigo dye for England during that time, colonial period and everything. So anyways, the image ended up being these hands holding this ball of yarn that was deep indigo colored, had indigo plants around it. And it was a really moving piece. It's almost like it transported you back in history a little bit, and it was just I think that might be one of my favorites that I did. So,
what history in Charleston actually matches your art?
Oh Lord, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of maybe some of the Gullah influence. I think. And in my house growing up, I grew up in a really old house, and just my family's always been in the area, and so we always had these beautiful paintings in my house of just a lot of the Gullah culture and sweetgrass baskets, and like I said, growing up on the water with a coastal life. I just think that it just permeates into all of that. And my grandmother's style actually, as an artist, she was very abstract, bright colors, and a lot of Gullah influence in her paintings, which I thought was really just beautiful. I think it influences you more than you realize. Because I didn't realize that I would have picked up some of her style a little bit.
Yes, so I completely understand. That brings me to the obvious question: who actually influences you these days?
Gosh, who influences me? I don't know. I mean, I think that any strong personalities influence me. Anytime I see any kind of outdoors, anybody pushing the limits, I think that inspires me a little bit. My mom kind of had a big influence on me as far as with being an avid outdoorsman and women pushing boundaries, I guess. That I thought she was the coolest. She hunted for shark's teeth, and she went fishing, and was an amazing chef, and I picked up a lot of that. I'm a huge foodie, and I love to cook, and so all of those things really kind of rubbed off on me more than I anticipated that it would. So I think I really look to any kind of strong female pushing boundaries, and it doesn't have to be one particular person, but just in general. And I think when I made the seasoning, it was my friend was like, "This is badass," and I think badass is such a term of empowerment. I don't know if I can say that or not.
You're online, so it's okay.
All right. So I think it's a term of empowerment, and I think it's yes, I'm going to be badass at all of it. I don't have to pick one thing. I can do many things and try new things. And so the brand is called Coastal Badass, and it's a girl on top of the words, and she's fishing, and so it was the men don't have to be the ones doing it all the time. I'm going to put a girl on there, and mixed reviews, but honestly the name and the logo are kind of what is catching the attention.
Sure.
And then they taste it, and obviously the flavor backs it up, so it seems to be working right now.
Right now.
But all of it's kind of related, the art, the cooking,
sure.
the fishing,
yes.
And now I've got a very large fishing following, which is kind of weird.
Oh.
But people in Florida and Texas are kind of watching what I'm doing, which
sure.
is kind of neat. I'm like on a fishing podcast or radio show this morning out of Miami, talking about blue crabs,
sure.
which is funny, but it's cool how it's all like I'm probably the closest to my truest self that I was when I was a kid that I got away from for so long, and I feel like now I'm getting back to my roots of who I am as a person, and so I think this has been a great process for me.
A couple of questions, Lauren. What are the limits for you when it comes to art?
Well, limits. I guess, there really aren't limits. I know that I'm not as well versed in people, right? So I might set limits for myself. Like I'm only going to paint people if it's something that I want to do. I'm not going to have, I'm not going to come over to your house and paint you sitting here. It would stress me. It's never right. Nobody ever is satisfied, So I think that
creepy. Some people, right?
A little bit.
Yeah.
I think so. So yeah, I've decided now that I'm really going to only maybe do some commission work if it's something that I would want to do anyways. I got to paint what brings me joy, and I have to paint when I'm feeling inspired, and I'm so busy with everything that I really have to be moved to sit down and do it. But I enjoy doing those things, and so if it's coastal related or something that makes me happy, then that's what I'm going to do. So I feel like I have to kind of stick to my guns on that one.
Oh yes, absolutely. And before art and obviously the seasoning business and obviously fishing, what exactly was your comfort zone?
Well, with art, there really wasn't a comfort zone. I'd given up on a lot of things. I had so many interests when I was younger. I was involved in everything, had my hands in everything, tried everything. I had a very great childhood.
Sure.
And my grandparents raised me, and they were able to let me experience all those things.
Sure.
But honestly, I had a really rough road for many years, and 4 years ago I was living in my car and had lost everything, and was major alcoholic, and honestly I got sober and really kind of put my focus in that, and when I got my life straight, it was like everything else fell into place, and you get closer to that, that the things that I was doing before I started drinking pretty heavy. You definitely, the focus shifts, and I think that I definitely was operating at probably 50% capacity in the past, where now all that energy that I spent trying to do those things now is being refocused into creative energy, and so I think it's such a blessing, honestly, to be able to figure this out.
Absolutely. And that brings me to my next question. You said this on your website. I was just researching this just yesterday at work, but you said this quote: "Finding the silver lining and creating something beautiful from what I perceive as waste has become the mantra for which I live my life." So what is the silver lining right now in your life?
COVID was the silver lining here for me. I think that doors get closed that you wouldn't close on your own, and I think that you're right where you're supposed to be. And I know sometimes it takes time to look back and have appreciation for the mishaps and misfortunes that happen in your life. But I think that honestly, some of my AA stuff kind of had me thinking like this anyways over the last couple of years. Is all this stuff leads up to where you're at right now. Just look at your feet. That's where you're supposed to be. And I think that I had to look at it that way in order to survive. It was like, okay, this happened, but I'm not gonna swim in that forever. I'm gonna make the most of it. And you make lemonade out of lemons, and just keep pushing. And that's the thing. I think everything that I've done in the past has been training me for this moment where I get to be, this person that I was probably always supposed to be, and doing things that I enjoy. And had it happened a few years ago, I would have been ready for it. And I think now that all this has happened, I think it's good timing, and that is a silver lining. And I think that I was talking about the oysters. I think whenever I made that comment, and people, they toss them and discard them, and I look at them, and they're all so unique and beautiful and individual, and I would take them and paint them nicely and turn them into these beautiful things that people will now pay a lot, would pay good money for. And and I think as a kid, being raised by my grandparents, you feel like maybe discarded a little bit, and I kind of felt like I could relate a little bit. And I think that being dealt a rough hand, and then it's like, you make the most out of it and make it beautiful again, So that's kind of the way I have to look at life in order to keep moving.
Absolutely. Who is Lauren Tupper right now?
I mean, Coastal Badass. That's what it is. No, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing things that bring me joy, and I'm spending a lot of time with my kids and cooking and fishing and painting and just creating beautiful things, and whether it's food or art or just enjoying this ride a little bit. I'm hustling every day. I'm out there hitting the streets, and honestly, to be in as many stores in 2 months that I am it's my head's spinning a little bit, but I'm still trying to find time to slow down and do things that bring me joy, because I think you gotta have balance,
Absolutely. Where is your balance between art, cooking, seasoning, and the family?
I don't know, you just take off one hat, you put another one on. I mean, even last night I went to my daughter's play. She had a musical, and I was like, man, I want to do that. Let me add that in my schedule. Yeah. But it's funny. I mean, you have to find balance, and you find ways to combine the two. Like, I'll pick up my kids, and I'll take them with me if I go out of town to go talk to some of these seafood shops. Sure. And so I try and find a way. It's summertime, so we try and incorporate all of it. So I'm painting it, at the house right now, and I'm watching them swim at the same time. Yes. So it's like we're multitasking always.
Always. And speaking of food and cooking, let's talk about it. A coastal lifestyle brand, Coastal Bad Blackening Bark. Obviously, as you mentioned, is a coastal clothing and merchandise. How is seasoning a lifestyle?
Man, it's all a lifestyle. It's just that food lifestyle. I mean, food is an experience, right? Like, every good memory I have growing up is centered around food. It's like, that's how I show my love and appreciation for somebody, is by cooking for them. And, I'm the type that I would I'll cook for you and watch your face for that first bite, that reaction, and this is like the large scale version of that, like social media, everybody's sharing the seasoning and doing the stuff, and so it's pretty cool to watch how it's moving. But honestly, I caught this trout, and then I decided to blacken it, and I had been blackening fish for a while, and I always, when I was a kid, I had probably 100 cookbooks in our house, and I would sit on the floor and I would go through a bunch of different recipes for the same thing, and I would combine them, all the best parts of those recipes, since I was probably 9 years old.
Wow.
And so I still do the same thing now, and I had some 1950s Gullah fish cookbooks, and they had blackening seasoning in there, and I also have this food memory from when I was a kid for blackening, and every time I go to a restaurant and try their blackening seasoning, I love it, but it's like I'm kind of disappointed because it's not the same thing. And so I finally, had put a couple recipes together and kind of tweaked it and came up with this recipe that was what I remember. And so I've been making it for a while, but it was like, I don't know, it's something about that day, catching that trout, coming home, and just, I think I was in that entrepreneurial mindset.
Sure.
And I just was like, I could sell this. And honestly, that night I made the logo on my phone. I overhauled the whole Shopify that I had the next day, and next thing you know, we're mixing it in the house and putting it in bags, and I don't even know, it started bootlegging spice. I mean, it was like, it escalated quickly, and so I had to I was like, I think I'm onto something here, but it's a lifestyle, it's I find that, so I had some charter captain friends, and they were kind of turned off to fish. They'd kind of eaten so much of it, and so one of my charter captain friends had gotten off the boat with a wahoo, and I was like, I'm coming over, I'm gonna cook it for you, and he was like, I don't know. I was like, no, I'm coming over, I got this rub, I need you to try. And so he tried it and blasted all over social media. And Charleston, Boat Life of Charleston was one of the Facebook groups that had like 20,000 people in it. So it started word of mouth, I guess, started taking off a little bit. But so that fishing demographic, is kind of like where it started. But honestly, now people that really can't cook now can, because it's like a one-stop shop seasoning.
Yes.
So but it's good. So it's definitely like it's kind of like a lifestyle, catch some fish, blacken some fish, like eat some shrimp. I don't know. I mean, it's good on everything though. It's not just seafood. So it's, so honestly, like pork tenderloin. My dad does barbecue competitions, and we put it on a Boston butt, and it's versatile. We're putting it on Bloody Marys, so it's not just seafood. But it's a foodie lifestyle, right?
Right, absolutely. Absolutely. And what particular demographic do you hope to reach in the next 5 years with, obviously, Coastal Bad ASS?
I think it's going to continue to probably be, the avid outdoorsman. When I was thinking about, like, when we were doing this, like, photo shoot, product shoot for the seasoning, I wanted, like, a fish that was, like, like a sheephead or redfish or something, because it's like I have this, like, river or ocean to table in my mind, for the seasoning. I had one guy that actually like had shot a stingray with the crossbow or whatever when they were out fishing, and like he actually cooked up the stingray with it. And so it's cool because it's like it's appealing to that group. And so I'm in all the seafood shops and the some of the tackle shops and things like that that are selling. But honestly, it's anybody that just wants to kick up their flavor a little bit, because it's, like I said, it's very versatile. So, I hope to be, not like a Zatarain's necessarily, but I hope that the word gets out enough to where it's like a staple in your kitchen. I am working on a few other seasonings as well, so not just the blackening, but I'm working on lemon pepper that's out of this world, and so those hopefully will be rolling out in the next couple months.
Oh man, that's exciting! I just had lemon pepper chicken wings from Publix just yesterday.
Oh yeah, it's good. Not, so it doesn't taste synthetic. It's like a lemon oil kind of lemon, so it's very light and like refreshing. And I think that it's all related to the brand.
Which one of those seasonings describes you?
I feel like the blackening does, because it's like it's a little spicy, it's bold, sweet sometimes.
Yes.
The heat goes away quickly. I'm a Libra, so I get mad and then I'll let it go. So it all makes sense.
Yes, absolutely.
The blackening fits me though. It suits me.
It's you, absolutely. And you said this too: follow your passions, no matter how many there are. Do all the things, because you never know what you are good at until you try it, and be that you are. When did you know you were good at making seasoning?
Listen, I've known for a long time. I don't know necessarily seasoning, but just cooking in general. I'm just, but my mom's the super creative cook, but I'm just a consistent, like, I've been doing it for so long for friends and family, and I love to entertain, and I feel like I've always just over the top. I always go extra. And so, I don't know, I knew I was good at it. I went to culinary school when I was like 20, and I stopped and ran off and got married and moved to Hawaii and then started having kids, and so I didn't finish. But, I knew it was always a passion, was just cooking for people. So I think that, I knew it was good. Right? I just didn't, it's a different thing when you have like chefs telling you that it's good, and it's an honor, honestly. I feel very like proud of it, my dad's proud, for him to cook with it, this barbecue competition. It's definitely really cool to, I feel like when you're in line with what you're supposed to be doing, things move a little easier than we would imagine. So I feel like it's been hard, but it's been like I'm in the channel and rolling with it,
Wow, that's just amazing. And how can somebody entertain and love you with a certain food and seasoning?
How can they entertain and love me with a certain food seasoning? Listen, anything that has like, I I just don't do basic, you know, but I mean, it's honestly, it's just the effort, right? So if somebody like, I just love people that enjoy and appreciate good food, you know, and it doesn't have to be complicated, but it's like, just, if I have a choice between, you know, a survival meal or, you know, doing something a little extra, I'm going to pick a little bit extra, you know, if it's not within a crazy amount of price difference on the menu, you know, I'm going to do the thing that has the goat cheese on it, or it has the, you know, the extra flair. If it's weird and I don't know what it is, I'm going to try it, you know, and I'm thankful for parents that, like, you know, made me do that. I guess growing up, I remember having like seafood casserole, you know, and like have like 4 different kinds of, you know, seafood in it, and we didn't do things simple, and you know, it didn't have to be super expensive, but it was just effort, maybe, you know. So I don't know. So I think that any kind of food entertains me, honestly. I mean, so if we're being real, I love food.
Yes, everybody does, absolutely. And how many more passions are you actually following right now?
Lord have mercy. Come hang out in my garage for a minute, because I have like shelves of things. You know, I still like to dabble with some oyster art stuff, you know, like making the Christmas trees and things like that. I mean, I like being outdoors. I used to snowboard and surf a lot. I went and rented a board the other day because mine was stolen, but I went with the kids and went surfing, and, you know, I mean, it's just crabbing. I'm going to go hang out with Tia on Monday and did the casual crabbing with Tia. So, yeah, so that's cool. So she said she was hiring, and I was like, this is it. I'm like, I don't know how much time I can give to you, but I can give you a day to hang out, right? So I'm going to go hang out with her on Monday.
Iconic lady.
Right? So, and it's funny because that was what we talked about on the radio show this morning, how much knowledge I know about the mating habits of blue crabs. It's very funny, actually. I could probably talk for 15 minutes about it. But anyway, so that's the thing. I love biology. I mean, I have a lot of passions. I'm going to have to chill. I used to play keyboard and sing, so every once in a while I'll whip that out. I don't know. It's just weird. I have a lot going on in my mind. You know, I think some people call it mania. You know, and I feel like, you know, you can channel it properly. Just channel your mental illness. You know. So it's just, you know, when you get like, you know, I get excited, and I find joy in a lot of things, and I think that now I have this whole new outlook on life where just try it. Why not? You know. What do you have to lose?
Exactly right. And what is going to be the outlook on blue crabs in South Carolina in the next 10, 20 years?
I don't know. I hope they keep going. I hope we have plenty that we can still pick from. You know, I feel like this has been a good season, though. I feel like they went backwards a little bit for a couple of years, but I think it's a healthier population now. But yeah. So I mean, I don't know, I hope they're there for us to continue to enjoy.
And who is Lauren on the waters when you're blue crabbing and fishing?
Just fun, you know. It's fun. I mean, I'm like genuinely excited about, you know, the little things, you know, like, you know, I love catching like flounder too, and, you know, whenever whenever they bite, like, you have to like not move. If you go ahead and jerk it, you're not gonna hook up with them. So I think it's just like challenging myself on different things, and I mean, it's just having a good time, you know. Golf. Started golfing.
Oh wow.
You can laugh at yourself. You're good, you know. So I mean, that's another thing we've been doing too. So it's just having a good time, and that's the thing. I think that, you know, for so many years, you know, I felt like I had to be drinking to have a good time, and everything was kind of centered around that and going, you know, doing those things. And now it's like I just find joy in like everything, you know. And so it's good.
Absolutely. And who do you want to challenge in the kitchen with your seasoning?
Who do I want to challenge? I don't know. Do I need to challenge a seasoning person, or do I just call out somebody I want to try my seasoning?
Well, chefs, one of those top chefs around here.
I mean, I'd like Sean Block to try it. I feel like, you know, Honestly, anybody that has an appreciation for good food, you know, I reached out to Lowcountry oysters yesterday, and so I'm sending him a bag this week, and I think my biggest, like, I had one of those moments because I grew up on Folly, and Folly was it's like very near and dear to my heart, but Crosby's was like the place where we went in and we got our extra seafood. If we didn't catch it, that's where we're going to go get it. And they're kind of like my idols a little bit. And I went in there, I gave them a bag of the seasoning and was like, hey, I just want you to starting the conversation, I just want you to try it. And I didn't really expect anything, I think. And a couple weeks later, the owner I was going in to buy some oysters and buy some shrimp, and she was like, Lauren, that was the best blackening rub I've ever tried. And she's like, we want to carry it. And I left there crying. I was like, oh my God. And it gave me the confidence to go into, you know, Mount Pleasant Seafood and say, hey, Crosby says they want it, or, you know, and then it was like boom, 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 they all signed up. But it was like that one moment, like, they've been cooking with it on their food truck for the last 2 months, and that's the biggest honor for me. That tells me everything I need to know. So now it's like I have that confidence behind me to just go in, and I know the flavors there. And you know, I had like Chef Michael Tui, like went in and got it the other day from Abundant Seafood, and he you know, posted all over social media. Jamie Huff posted about it. I mean, I was just like, oh my God, like, and that tells me I'm doing something right, you know. So I'm gonna keep sticking to my guns and following my gut on some of these things, and you know, just staying true to myself. And people give suggestions, and some people say, oh, I'm not gonna try it because of this or whatever, or don't agree with something that, you know, the logo or whether it's the name or whatever. And I'm gonna stick to my guns. I'm gonna do what I think is gonna work and what feels right, and can't please everybody. Right?
That's exactly right. And how are you gonna continue to be that bad in the next 5-10 years?
Man, I hope that, you know, we get picked up by some big box stores, and I hope that, you know, I continue to sharpen my skills as an outdoors woman, I guess, and you know, teaching my kids those things and passing that on. And I think just finding some way to give back, you know, in the community would be good. And you know, getting involved in some nonprofits and things like that are kind of on my list of things to do. But you know, I think just as a company, just getting in as many stores as possible in the next couple of years, I think is going to be key. So I know I'm from Murrells Inlet down to Beaufort right now, but I'm going to Florida next month and pushing out. So I'm hoping, you know, it just keeps rolling. And then that way, I think the goal, honestly, is, you know, anytime you want to get power, you got to use it in a positive way. And I think that's the goal, is like, you know, get so you can give, you know, and that's what I'd like to do.
And God will bless you.
That's right.
Yes.
Keep giving.
Absolutely. And I love Georgetown County, by the way, so shout out to the people up there. Well, Lauren Tupper, thank you so much for your time. And again, welcome to the award-winning Quintin Food Cups.
Thank you. It was great to be here.
Likewise. Thank you.
Thanks.